Yeah, sadly, rugby's coming to an end because we're at the end of this Quilter Summer, Spring, Winter series. I'm not quite sure what to call it. Certainly, autumn, spring, I don't know. But we've seen some great rugby. We've seen Ireland lose to New Zealand. We've seen New Zealand beaten by the Poms. We've seen Scotland get taken out by Argentina. And most importantly, we've seen a 14-man South Africa cruise through twice. And the big joke this week, of course, is that the Springboks are selecting 4 players to play against Ireland. And that is the big story of the week. Today, we've got expert Brett Burnz, the genius, rugby's know-it-all, and myself. You'll know that I'm not actually a rugby expert. I'm more of a soccer fan, but I love rugby. I love the Springboks. I'll be screaming and shouting tomorrow night against Ireland, probably swearing at the ref for Can I use my first swear word now?
Go for it.
For fucking up the refereeing or the TMO or the bunker or one of them. That suffice to say, we've got a hell of a match. I want to go back in the week to a few things that Rassie said, to the events of the red cards being rescinded. We're going to discuss all of that. We're going to get Brett Burnz' take. And Brett's certainly more of an expert than I will ever be on rugby. He's played, he coaches, and he knows a lot about what's happened this week, which most of us as rugby fans are baffled by. Rugby experts know the real deal. And just as a mile shot, Brett, you've got to be confused by, and let's start with the Springboks, because that's been the big talking point. A red card rescinded and a TMO who should effectively be lined up in front of firing squad and shot.
Of course, if you don't perform at your work or you make a very ridiculous call, then obviously you should be punished for it. The players get punished for making red cards. The TMO should be punished for making a silly decision like that. Yes, he said we have video evidence of said high tackle, but then why, if that was the case, why would World Rugby take the red card away and make it a yellow?
Let's go back to the actual incident. So the game's on, ball's travelling. And just talk me through the actual events of what happened on the rugby field at the time.
Well, if you're playing rugby, you have a split second to make a decision. That I get. But if you are as low as you can be, if you're almost 2 meters tall and you would theoretically hit a guy in his midriff, then that's a fair tackle. That's a good tackle. But because the person that's in front of you is 1 meter off the ground, obviously you're going to make some form of head contact, but there was no head contact. That's my problem. He hit him on the chest, and I think that was a good tackle. But
surely, so I need to stop you there, sorry. Surely if there was head contact, then the ref has to send for a head injury assessment.
100%. He has to go
So where was that?
No, it wasn't there. It wasn't there. Like, that should have been an off-field yellow card, so yellow card with an off-field bunker. Let the TMO judge on what he can distinguish between what is a high tackle and what's not, and what's head contact and what's not, and let the game flow. But if you're going to let the ref make the decision on the field, firstly, you're taking up 10 minutes just to make a decision, which is boring every single fan. It's actually becoming ridiculous. And you think as a South African, you are targeted, and then you don't want to play the self-appointed victim, but the evidence is right there. It's staring us in the face.
So there's been interesting comments this week. I saw Eddie Jones speaking up and Rassie as well, and Wandile Listic actually. Let's just talk to Eddie Jones's comment, because what Eddie Jones says is that World Rugby is ruining World Rugby.
Yes, 100%.
And you have to, there's nobody who would disagree with that, because this is a contact sport.
Yeah.
And if we're going to assess every single tackle in the game, firstly, the game's going to become 2-hour matches like American football. Mm-hmm. And secondly, it's going to take the spectacle out of what is effectively a real contact sport where people do get hurt.
Yeah, no, for sure. If like, I just want to know what went through the TMO's head. I'm steering a bit clear from what you just said, but on the longevity of the game. But if you think about that TMO, what went through his head? Like, he said, I can see clear head contact. But the ref and the 2 touch judges said, we can't see it. Like, show us that. We want to see it on the big screen. Let everybody see it.
From 70 meters away.
Yes, from 70 meters away. What I think World Rugby needs to do is, like, if something is played on the big screen, in the bottom, put in Rule 7.1a. This is what the rule says. So everyone's on the same page. And this is why he made the decision. Because to say that yes, I saw contact, but you guys can't see it, I saw it. That's kind of like steering clear, like telling the peasants of the game, listen, we know what we're doing. You just keep quiet and pay our TV rights.
So let's deal with what what Wandile Stick said, because Wandile comes out and he says, look, I'm not sure that there's a conspiracy, but, and this is the important part, he says he doesn't want to get into trouble like Rassie has. But if you look at the way the South African team has been treated in terms of these decisions, it would appear that there is a desire to see the Springboks lose for some reason.
Oh, for sure. 100%. 100%. Like, that's not even... I just said that we're playing self-appointed victim, but the evidence is there. It's like, how else are we supposed to see it? We are the victims because it's not happening against anybody else. Like, let's say that game, for example. 10 minutes before Franco Mostert hit, the tight head prop of Italy did the exact same thing to Sia Kolisi. Wasn't even checked. Wasn't a penalty, nothing. It was the exact same tackle. And nothing happened. Like if you're going to be like an arsehole to South Africa, at least be a consistent arsehole. Like, that guy should also then get penalized.
And then there should have been a head in.
Oh, for sure.
HIA.
For sure. Yeah.
So the Irish would have felt hard done by against New Zealand, having their captain sent off for stepping in front of Bowden Barrett. I mean, how do you objectively see that? Was that also balls up?
That was also a big balls up. That was like the two players barely kissed each other, and now it's a red card. Like, rugby is a contact sport. Fans want to see it. Obviously, you got to protect the head, but that was not malicious intent. That was not anything that was going to cause that guy's career. Like, I suffer from head injury, headaches all day because of stupidity, but that is not one of those cases. So I don't know what they're on about.
So just talk me through the process, how World Rugby have put it together. And again, I'm saying this as somebody who knows less, right? So the idea was that they would first give a yellow card, then send it to the bunker, then have a 10-minute assessment period, and then decide whether it remains a yellow or becomes a red.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that.
No.
What we've seen is immediate decision. TMO says off, red card.
Yeah.
Now, what's the purpose of the bunker if the ref is being told something that the TMO doesn't see? And it just doesn't... You know, if I watch tennis, for example, tennis is pretty simple. You use Hawkeye, it's either in, it's or either out. And granted, they are very different games. But if you're given a chance to then review that over a period of time, and that's the process that's been put in place, why aren't they using it? What are they missing?
Because what you just said, that because they are using the bunker on every other game, they're using the bunker. Let's say, for example, the Argentina-Scotland game. That went to the bunker. The Japan game, that went to the bunker. But South Africa, it didn't. Straight red, not even a 20-minute red. So there's options. There's a yellow card. There's a yellow card with an off-field review. There's a 20-minute red card. And then there's a permanent red card. To give a guy the most, like, horrific, like the most ultimate, damaging, most extreme form of punishment, that's just ridiculous. Come on. Now we as South Africans... Now we play the victim again, and now it just becomes such a headache.
Here's the psychological problem for the South Africans, and particularly going into tomorrow's game against Ireland, is every tackle you make, you now have to play in a way that prevents you from getting red carded. Is that something that Rassie's trying to deal with the team with this week, or do you just play your normal way and hope that you don't get a red card?
100% play your normal way and hope. In fact, as a South African, that mentality is now go in harder. Like, if they're going to give us red cards, let's earn our red cards. Because the world's already saying South Africa is playing dangerously close to trying to write off another player, and we have malicious intent and all that stuff, which is not the case, because we are taught as South Africans, play as hard as you can, and the harder you are, the stronger you are, the more chance you have of winning. That's our mentality. So if you can't swim with a flippin' big fish, then just stay in the pond, because...
I prefer if you can't bark with the big dogs, don't piss like a puppy.
Yeah, I just try to not swear.
Make it nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I don't agree with... Whole world is focusing so much now on South Africa and, like, what are they doing? What are their tactics? Are they trying to be dirty players and stuff like that? That's not the case. We are just hard players. Like, that's in our nature.
So let's go back to, before we get to preview this weekend, which is, to me, the ultimate part of the series. I mean, let's be honest, Japan and Italy, not really, I wouldn't say big games. Certainly France was a massive victory. But let's just look at the series overall. I think there's been some magnificent rugby. There's been some great highlights. For you, as a spectator, I mean, for me as a spectator, watching England beat New Zealand last week was phenomenal. And generally, I don't like to watch England win, just for obvious reasons. But it did send a clear message to me that there is something wrong with New Zealand rugby. And Scotland getting beaten in the last 10 minutes by an Argentinian side that's 21-0 down. The series has been very entertaining. We've seen some great rugby. We've seen some absolute shockers. But what's been your, what are the highlights for you?
Firstly, that Scottish game against New Zealand. I thought that Scotland, if Scotland was, I think, better coached, and I'm not saying their coach is horrible. I'm saying if they were better coached that game, it would have been 2 losses in a row for New Zealand. Because to take off your tight 5 so early in the game, that's dominating New Zealand, that is struggling in their tight 5, that was a rookie mistake from the coach, I feel. And when your fly-off is so hyped up by the rest of the world and finally gets to play against a proper Tier 1 nation, not against the Ireland and France in the beginning of the year, what they call the Six Nations or something funny like that, some second-tier tournament. So when they're actually playing against proper opposition and you get tested, then I feel like, oh, you're not as good as people say. But, yeah, obviously that England-New Zealand game was probably the highlights of this whole tournament, because nobody expected that. Come on. Who expects the New Zealand side to go to Twickenham? You've lost 5 times in your history against England, and then you go and lose like that. So, yeah, I think that was quite entertaining. It's like a game, felt like I was watching a Bok game.
The resounding criticism against New Zealand after that is that New Zealand rugby is in a crisis. And I know you discussed this last week. Jonathan McQueen was saying how their tight 5 didn't perform. You could see it in the scrums. But when you have a weak New Zealand and a strong South Africa, it takes away the shine of, I guess, rugby union to some degree. We actually need a strong New Zealand. What's your take on that?
Oh, we do. I also feel like we need a strong Australia, which has also been the downfall for the last few years. And I thoroughly agree that a strong New Zealand is a strong rugby union, because for the last 100 years, they've been dominating. So you definitely need a strong New Zealand and a strong South Africa. It's like, that's why I say
it's like a Djokovic, Sinner, and Alcaraz type.
For sure. But it's kind of like, that's why I say that the Six Nations is not the be-all and end-all, and it has to be the Rugby Championship, because if England didn't perform for 10 years, it is what it is. If New Zealand doesn't perform, it's world news.
Yeah.
Like, look at, everyone's talking about how is New Zealand losing? How did you see the picture of Ardie Savea sitting against the rugby post, almost crying?
Basically crying.
Yeah. So that just shows you the level of like passion that they have, and to not perform and to lose to England. Oh, that's got to hurt.
Let's look back at the South Africa game, and we've dealt with the red card issue, but we had some magnificent performances there. Standout players, standout performances. What was it that you took away from it?
From which? Sorry,
from the South Africa game.
South Africa game. I thought we were still on the... Yeah. Obviously, Franco going off. I wanted to see the energy that he would bring, especially against an Italian side that is, they live off energy. So that took a bit away from me. Jasper Wiese playing phenomenal rugby this season. And I was very happy with Pollard's performance, like, in that game. Like, that drop goal, that was, like, pretty damn cool. Obviously got taken away, but it is what it is. But, yeah, I feel like Damien Willemse, like, if I have to put out a standout performance, yes, he got man of the match, obviously, but I think he's finally cementing himself, and we have a fullback now. Because Willie was the guy for the longest time, and then like a Fussy would come in, then a Willemse would come in, and it would be a like he's good, but now we need Willie back. And now I think we finally have Willemse that has cemented his place as the Springbok 15.
Well, he could be number 14, given the way that South Africa are playing, or the way that we're being refed.
Yeah.
Before we move on to predictions and a view of today's squad, or the squad that's been selected for the Springboks, because that I think ultimately is a big indication of what Rassie's plans are. There's another big thing that's happened this week, and that is the announcement of the World Rugby Players of the Year. 3 South Africans and a Frenchman. I can't see anybody but a South African winning it, although given the state of international rugby, it could just be done just to give us a middle finger. But of those 3 players who've been selected, it's Ox, it's Malcolm Marx, and...
Say it. Peter Steph du Toit.
Peter Steph du Toit, PSD. Who's your pick?
Okay, so let me just say to you, don't write off the Frenchman. Like, he won the Six Nations, scored the most tries, also scored 21 tries out of 22 games in the French top 14. He's very fast. He's almost faultless in his game. So don't write him off. However, I think that Malcolm Marx's season started shaky, got good towards the end. So, but because of his start in the season, I'm eliminating him.
Okay.
Oxenchair, the first prop to be nominated as World Player of the Year, thoroughly deserves it. The last 3 years, he's been one of the best players in the world, regardless of the position that he plays. So I think he thoroughly deserves it. But how do you... Peter Steph du Toit has hardly made taken a wrong step in 3 years as well. So, and he was last year's Player of the Year. So I think it's coming down to between Louis and Ox. And I think Peter Steph du Toit and Marx are just going to miss out. So I think it's going to be between those two. I'm obviously rooting for Ox. I really want to see a prop win Player of the Year. That's what I want to, that's what the world wants to see. But I think don't write off the Frenchman.
Yeah, I think the romance of having a prop win it would be great.
Oh, love it.
Let's wait and see. Yeah. All right. Those are the, I guess, a lot of the big talking points from the week. And we mentioned Rassie earlier on and how Rassie has gone with a squad or a starting 15 that looks very different to last week. I think the first question everybody would ask before we even get to the predictions is why Sasha and not Handre? I have an answer for that, but what do you say?
Oh, no, I think that's quite an easy call. I think that because Ireland, they knew they were going to pick Prendergast, which is terrible on defense. So if you have a fly-off that can attack the line like a Sasha, you need that. It's more pressure on Ireland. Pollard's a very good distributor, clinical, will play exactly to the book, where you need a little bit of, like in Afrikaans, they say losbandigheid.
Losbandigheid.
Yeah.
Great word.
Yeah. So, and I think that's what we need in Sasha. That's why Sasha was always going to be the first choice fly-off because of Prendergast. And also Bandiaki is going to come running down the channel. And Marnie and Pollard's defense is not as good as Sasha. Not saying that the defense is bad. It's just like, if that has to happen, you have to cover all parts. So I think it's quite an easy call.
Any surprises for you in the rest of the 15, starting 15?
Not at all. I could have predicted that side for you. Like Rassie predicted the French side, I think that would have been the side. I probably wouldn't have gone with Boan at loose head. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be... It's fairly a predictable side and the stronger side we have, and I feel sorry for Ireland.
So we've been talking about this idea. If you were coach, so if you were the Irish coach tomorrow, or you were Rassie, how you'd approach this game? Is this a stock standard Springbok performance? We play the way that we've played the whole way up to here. We know that the Irish have got all these fancy tricks. They showed it last week, passing behind. I mean, they scored 3 tries very similarly, doing the same thing, but they'd rehearsed that.
Yeah.
Is this a game, if you were Coach Rassie, that you would approach exactly in the same way as you'd approached the last few games? or do you have something up your sleeve?
Always have something up your sleeve. Farrell is a very smart coach. So if I'm in Rassi's shoes, trick plays will come into the fold, because we haven't had trick plays throughout this tournament yet. So there has to be some fancy trick plays. Also, South Africa's defense is nobody comes close to our defense. So there we sorted. So they're going to have to bring their A game, but I think they're going to take all the positives out of the French game and of the Italian game. Close quarters, you're going to have to structure your defense in a way where, like that Italian try, back to the inside. So South Africa likes to fold. You can't fold against Ireland because maybe Prendergast has a little sneaky inside-outside pass, whatever. So we're going to be a lot more alert. But I back our defense 9 times out of 10. But I think you're going to see some trick plays, maybe a midfield line-out, stuff like that, to just throw them off.
So if you're Coach Farrell, how do you approach this game?
Targeting the wings. I know Moody is not a bad wing and he's not bad under the high ball, but because he's there and not Arendse, obviously that's why Rassie put Moody there, is because I think they would target the shorter wings with high ball. So I think they would play our game plan against us. But I'd stick to that. I wouldn't fold away from trying what Rassie is going to predict we're going to try. Because it's like reverse psychology.
This is the beauty of Rassie Erasmus at the moment. He's predictably unpredictable.
Oh, for sure. That's a good analogy.
Which is what we love about him.
Yeah.
So look, let's make a call on what you think, what you're predicting for tomorrow. I, with what I've seen, can't see South Africa losing. Sport's a funny game. My prediction is that South Africa are going to win, probably a tight margin. And I'd like to know what you think about the other fixtures this weekend as well. So South Africa, Ireland.
South Africa, Ireland. I'm not as skeptical as everybody else. I feel like it's going to be a straightforward 12-point victory for South Africa. Ireland hasn't been good in the last few games. So I don't see, like, let's say, for example, their game against Japan. Like, that was terrible. For Ireland, not for Japan. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a straightforward win by 12 points for South Africa.
Sure. Big shot. We have to check this out next week.
I haven't got any wrong yet.
Yeah, well, you haven't. You almost got the draw right as well.
Yeah. Okay, I got the draw wrong.
What are the other fixtures for this weekend?
We got Wales versus New Zealand. Okay, so I feel sorry for Wales because they're very hurting New Zealand side. Oh, my goodness. I can't see it being less than 40 points to New Zealand.
They're going to come out firing.
I think they're going to clap Wales 6-love.
Australia playing?
Against it, I don't know. Comment section, help us there.
Comment section.
Who's help?
All right, well, we check that out. Unfortunately, this is it for the year, which is mildly disappointing. What we'll do is we'll come back next week and we'll recap the year. I think by then we'll know the World Player of the Year. We'll know the newcomer of the year and whoever else wins awards. But we'll be able to look back at a year of I think what for me certainly has been success for South African rugby. Has it translated into Currie Cup and URC performances for the provincial sides and for the local sides? I can't call them provincial anymore. And has that translated into junior rugby? What are we seeing at schools? You know, we're seeing Varsity Cup again next year. Who's the next Springbok hooker? Who's going to be the next person to be drafted into Rassie's plans? Is Rassie going to stick around? And is Jacques Nienaber, and this is a big question, going to make a return to the Springboks? There's been a lot of talk about that this week. I can't really see it. But the story this week is that he misses the Springboks. We'll have to wait and see how that story unfolds. And I don't know if there's been any questions from any of your...
Quite a few. I just also want to remind you that we still have Wales in a friendly next week. which is concerning because it doesn't benefit Wales and it doesn't benefit South Africa whatsoever. The unions want 500,000 rand per player to release them to play that test, which is a friendly. So the people aren't going to be capped as Springbok. So I think there's going to be some Prem players. The Japan people will be probably in their team. It's going to be, I don't know, it doesn't benefit anyone. I don't know why that fixture is even happening.
Money.
Yeah, money for who?
I don't know, for Saru.
You lose money when your fans don't come watch. If you get clubbered by South Africa in Wales by 40, 50 points, what's the point? You're just making your losing streak look worse. Like, why would you agree to that game?
I don't know. We'll have to dig into it, but it might be worth finding out during the course of the week why that is the case.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Challenge is all we want, but good and fair for rugby. Yeah. No.
Have we found out who Australia are playing yet?
Australia are playing.
All right. Eventually, we'll figure it out.
Oh wow!
Oh wow! Big game! Big game!
Australia, France. Yeah. Is Dupont back?
Don't know.
No, because he trained when the Boks were playing 2 weeks ago. I would like Dupont to be back. I would like flipping Australia to club of France. We need like I said, we need a strong Australia.
Yeah, I think in the past, if you look at these series that happen at the end of the year, the outgoing series, whatever you want to call it, outbound series, we're used to seeing Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa dominate. And at the moment, there is one clear leader who's really put their head above the pack. New Zealand should have lost to Ireland in the US. Still can't figure out why they played there. Also money related.
Yeah, 100%.
They should never have won that game, and Ireland should never have been playing with 14 men. Their loss last week, I think, was pretty devastating. I think there's a big pride issue. With,
100%.
But if we played them now, we'd absolutely smash. I don't know if it'd smash them because I think they raised their game against South Africa.
They can raise their game, but they don't have the personnel. The Barrett brothers, Scott and Bowden, I think they reaching the expiry date. Like we just said, there's no tight five. If South Africa has to play New Zealand now, a record would be broken.
Holy shit! I'm sure they don't want that.
Not at all.
All right. Well, then after this weekend, we'll have time to regroup. We've got the silly friendly against Wales, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look back at the year. It'll be an interesting look, and then as we get into the break, what we see is the Stormers up against La Rochelle.
Can't wait.
What's your take for that one? I mean, it's in PE, in Quebec, and at Nelson Mandela Bay. I'm sure they'll get a big crowd there. They had about 25,000 people there. The Sport Peso are taking 75 people with. There's a whole match day experience that they're going to go through.
They're taking me.
Oh, we can ask. Are they taking Brett?
Are they taking me? You better. I'm even representing. I mean, come on.
So I think then there's a game on the 20th, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And then straight into the new year on the 3rd of January. The guys can't go and have big New Year's. So now we're into URC Investec Cup.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I used to love watching Super Rugby in January and February, mostly February, which I miss dearly. But the URC is a great competition.
It is.
And a great place to blood some youngsters.
Yeah.
How's that game against La Rochelle going to go?
We'll have to see who gets released to play against Wales first, because Stormers aren't going to release their players. I cannot see that happening. And we beat La Rochelle last year by 1 point, and then we lost by 1 point. So it's becoming a bit of a rivalry between Stormers and La Rochelle. So I'm more excited about that game than I am about the Springboks playing against Wales, if I have to be honest.
All right.
So yeah.
Well, that really kicks off the December festivities. The cricket team's in India, so there's no test series, and then the T20 starts in late December. All right, well that's it. I mean, unless there's anything more, should we try and get Brett to say something controversial? All right, Brett, say something controversial.
I've been saying stuff that's controversial. So firstly, people clearly want to get me cancelled, yeah? So I'm going to not say something controversial. I'll just say you guys must have a fantastic day.
I want you to send a message to the IRB. as if you were standing in front of them.
Okay, that's easy.
So look into that camera over there and pretend you're talking to them and just tell them to sort their shit out.
Okay, so World Rugby, I think you need to fire your controversial French referees that play to sour grapes, and if you keep on hammering South Africa, we're just going to get better and make it worse for you. So World Rugby, fix your shit.
All right, fine. That's it for today. Thanks for joining us at Lekker Chat.
Lekker Chat, that was cool.
And Brett, one thing I do appreciate about you is that you know the game well. You're absolutely inside of it, and as a rugby fan, listening to you is quite a pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Okay, bye.